Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome into this tarot and astrology reading. We're going to look at the horoscope first for the full moon in Libra. We're having it on the 1st of April, 2026, around 10:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for some of you, it might happen on the 2nd of April. Just take that time differential into consideration when you're trying to figure out when this full moon is going to happen for you. Also, as always, where in your natal chart is this full moon making a transit to. So look at 12 degrees of Libra and you'll get a bigger sense of how this might affect you personally. Now, on a collective level, when we're looking at Libra, of course, we're thinking of the diplomat archetype, right? On the archetypal journey of the zodiacs, Libra tends to be, that typical balanced, harmonious energy that we think about. But on a deeper, more psychological level, Libra wants to compromise for the good of all. Right. And not just on a mental level because it is an air sign, but Libra wants to do that on an emotional level. And when it's in, and when the moon is in Libra, we get an even deeper sense of that, right? That emotional and mental balance that can lead us to that heart and mind coherence. And Libra is very, very good at that. Just like Gemini, Libra can look at things as two sides of the same coin. Libra has that tendency to say, I hear you, but you need to hear me, and let's hear each other together. Or there is that shadow side of Libra, right? I mean, Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus tends to have that shadow side that says, screw you, screw everybody, I'm going to focus on myself. So we have to pay attention to that. Now, I don't see anything as far as any shadows coming up, especially because Chiron's making no aspects. Chiron's kind of just off course right now and void off course. So he's making nothing. But I will say that this moon is making a quincunx over to Mercury, and it's squaring Jupiter and in opposition to Saturn. So when you have all of that together, it's almost like that push and pull between freedom and liberation and rules and regulations, okay? You have Zeus and you have Kronos. And then you have little Mercury, who's trying to be the in-between. Again, very similar to what Libra could do for us. If we have a square and an opposition, both affecting the moon, and then a quincunx, again, the Mercury, where Libra really tends to naturally want to balance the heart and mind, it's almost like it's contradictory. Okay? It's almost like it's struggling to do that. So we have to pay attention with this full moon to make sure that we're not, first of all, being too hard on ourselves, being overly cautious, overly suspicious, overly stubborn, overly traditional with the way that we view things, and to kind of open up our mind a little bit, especially the mind. We have to open up our viewpoints, open up our perspectives, open up our opinions, open up on the way that we communicate. This moon, ironically, is very focused on the mind. And again, bringing that heart and mind coherence. But this full moon is also very focused on, okay, if I can set my life straight, if I can settle on what the rules need to be, on what the foundation needs to look like, do I cave into fear, or do I free myself from fear and realize that everything is fine as long as I trust in the higher understanding, in the bigger picture, and if I navigate through my beliefs and make sure that my beliefs are still in alignment with what I'm trying to achieve. All right, this is a very big deal with that. Now, we might have a tendency to struggle in making decisions. There's the shadow side of Libra already has that indecisiveness energy. When you have a quincunx to Mercury, a square to Jupiter, and an opposition to Saturn, we really might just feel like we get that analysis paralysis energy. We might feel like, I'm not good enough. I don't know what to do. This is too hard. This is too difficult. And then we might fall prey or fall victim to indulgency and things just to try to escape from it, just to try to mentally free ourselves because we can't deal with that mental pressure. So this full moon in Libra, I really feel like is trying to teach us, okay, how do we make decisions based on that heart and mind coherence? All right, that's the biggest thing that I'm getting out of this moon. One small thing I will mention, while the moon is making a quincunx over to Mercury and a square to Jupiter, Mercury and Jupiter themselves are making a trine. Okay, so we can, and it's an applying one, so it's even stronger. So we can have and easier access than we think. There's an answer. There is an answer. There is a choice. There is a path. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. We just have to know where to look, how to get the information, who do we need to talk to, how do we research, how do we communicate about it, okay? And how do we set our own mind straight so that we're not negatively thinking? Because I will be honest, okay? A moon making an opposition over to Saturn, this is like typical, like, it's Eeyore energy, you know? Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. That's moon opposition to Saturn. You ever see him ever want to do anything? No. His friends have to force him out, which is so Mercury, right? His friends have to force him out to get out of his comfort zone, to stop being so depressed and to do something about it. So again, this moon is kind of teaching us, okay, listen, you got some issues. You got some problems. There's some stuff that's holding you back in your life. There's some stuff that you're having a hard time, accepting, or maybe a hard time trying to figure out what to do and how to move forward. Well, it's time to buckle up, right? It's time to get over it, and time to be more firm in those beliefs, and to be more confident, and to be more self-assured and self-disciplined. That's what Saturn wants to teach us. It's a lesson, right? And it's a lesson of time. He's the time master. All right. Gentle gardener. Again, that makes sense. Makes total sense with this full moon, okay? And strength on the bottom of the deck also makes sense. Hold on. Okay. It makes sense because through trials and tribulations, that's what Saturn is going to teach us. How do we stay strong? And then with Mercury, with the moon quincunx over to Mercury, again, Libra wanting to be balanced, we can learn how to have a stronger mind and heart coherence. So, do you have strength to deal with what you need to, first of all, plant a seed in? I know that full moons are naturally, we always say, right, naturally about letting go, surrendering what needs to be looked at. It's shining a light on everything. Things are brighter with a full moon than they are a new moon, right? But there is also, with the letting go and with the surrendering and with the moving on, there's always what are you planting? What are you intending to create? What are you starting? Gentle gardener tells you, look, you're going through some stuff. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with your intentions. Be gentle with your dreams. It's not about pushing, because that's also with that square over to Jupiter and that opposition to Saturn and that quincunx over to Mercury. Those are tough. Don't push. It's not about forcing, right? It's about learning. Libra, it's about compromising. It's about being in the middle. It's about seeing both roads at that crossroads and saying, what are the pros and cons of this way? What are the pros and cons of that way? And how is this also going to affect the relationship that I have with myself and the relationship that I have with others? Beauty. That's Libra, right? Libra takes that natural Venusian energy of beauty and says, how do I create a more beautiful life? Okay. Angel therapy. Give your cares and worries to us angels and allow us to take your burdens. Bottom of the deck. Gentleness. Again, so we really need to work with Archangel Sandalphon with this full moon, because that's the second time. Be very gentle with yourself at this time. Surround yourself with gentle people, situations, and environments. Like I said, it's a very strong moon that teaches us how to make decisions without stressing ourselves the fuck out. Really, that's what this is. Mentally, we're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna feel panicked. It's very panic-stricken. Again, analysis paralysis. Oh no, Eeyore. Okay. If I could title the video that, that's what I would title it. Don't be Eeyore. And have Pooh, who's almost like the Taurus side, right? Winnie the Pooh's very Taurian. Like, let's just chill, eat some honey, and laugh and have a good time. Anyway, magician. Yeah. Yes. Again, it's about, okay. Well, there's that opposition to Saturn right there. 10 of Swords. I had to look at the chart really quick. Well, there isn't that applying square between Venus and Pluto. And when we're looking at anything, I should have said that when we're talking about the astrology. So I'll mention it here. And I know those of you that want to skip over the horoscope, I'm sorry, but I will say that this square between Venus and Pluto. I mean, Venus is the ruler of Libra, right? So I forgot to, as a bad astrologer here, but I forgot to look at the ruler, right? And if she's making a square over to Pluto, I mean, there's also that Ten of Swords. The difficult endings that we have to accept, right? Killing off, so to speak, figuratively, but really killing off things that just aren't worthy and aren't valuable. You have the resources, you have the tools to be happy. Really, at the end of the day, that's what Libra wants. Libra wants you to be happy. Libra wants the other people. Libra wants everybody to be happy. It is sort of, yes, it can be in a shadow side of Libra. It can be the people pleaser, right? The yes man. Yes. I'll just do it so that we can avoid conflict and I don't want to deal with it. That's where that Aries sister sign, right, that access can come in and be like, fuck no, we're not afraid of conflict. We can deal with this. We can take this head on. But the Libra side is like, I just want to chill. Like, everybody just relax. Everybody's, overthinking things. Everybody's over exaggerating. Everybody's just turning on and mole. What is it? What is the saying, guys? What's the thing? A mountain out of a molehill. Thank you, whoever thought of that. That's Libra, right? Libra's like, let's not, and just sit down and think about this and talk about this. And everyone might not be able to do that with these aspects. So you might have these tendencies with this full moon to be like, to again, this is a card of guilt and shame. It really is. Ten of Swords. I know I'm using the difficult deck right now. You might see it better with this one, but the Ten of Swords, it really is a card of guilt and shame because it has that tendency to bring out, okay, I did something I shouldn't have done, or I hurt someone, or someone hurt me in the most unexpected, betrayed way, because the Ten of Swords is not an ending like the Death card. The Ten of Swords is the ending that comes out of nowhere. You don't see it coming. You have no idea it's going to happen. Where death is expected. Where's this Ten of Swords? Oh my God. Where's this Ten of Swords? Watch it be the last card. Where? Okay. I must have skipped it. But anyway, you usually see the king with his face down. That was my point. You don't see the king's face. You see the crown. You see the fallen crown. You see his back. You see the 10 swords in the back, meaning he backstabbed himself. So when we talk about betrayal, it's not only about who betrayed me. It's about how am I betraying myself? How am I ruining my own hopes and dreams? How am I ruining my own happiness? How am I self-sabotaging? That's that moon over, that Libra moon making an opposition over to Saturn and Aries. Okay? Again, Aries. The sun is in Aries right now. Neptune is in Aries. Chiron is still in Aries. Venus just exited Aries. Okay? She's in Taurus now, where she's much happier, but she's already kind of feeling that because she's making a square over to Pluto. So, and Pluto in Aquarius, right? There's that chaotic energy. So we need to know, okay, how do I not self-sabotage? How do I get what I want without feeling like I don't deserve it, right? Because there's that energy of like, am I asking for too much? Am I dreaming too big? Am I reaching too far? No, you're not asking for much. You're not. You are worthy of more. That's that square over to Jupiter. I know I've said this before with an aspect like this, but it's even heavier when it's in Libra. Okay? And Cancer. First of all, cardinal square. Second of all, that kind of square is like, oh, wow, everybody else, right? Libra and Cancer, everybody else. The family, the friends, the co-workers, the boss, everybody else. My lover. What about you? That's what this Aries sun is like. Whoa, hey, whoa, yo. Remember, the moon and the sun work together to make this full moon. Anyway. No, I forgot to shuffle. But I will say that Three of Swords with that magician. Yeah, you know. Disappointment and pain. It's like, don't disappoint yourself. The magician is saying you can create your new story. You can manifest whatever you want. You do have everything you could possibly need and more. Maybe that's the mantra for this full moon for you, right? I have everything I need and more. Because everyone immediately goes to I have everything I need. Great. Awesome. What about the more? Why is it taboo or weird or wrong to ask for more? It shouldn't be wrong. That's what this full moon is saying. How do you make the decision to say, you know what, I do deserve that. I do deserve that. I am worthy of that. And to get that mind right. Balance, patience, temperance, right there. I know that temperance is typically viewed as a card of Sagittarius. I get why, but temperance for me has a Libran energy. 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land. She's actually dumping those cups out in this temperance card. She's not going back and forth. She's not balancing it out. So I love that, actually, because it's like, look, emotionally, let's put emotions to the side for a minute, because that's full moon in Libra, right? Let's think. Quincunx over to Mercury, who just came out of his retrograde, right? How? Also, okay, I'll come back to that because I just had a thought. How do I get rid of this cup, fill this other one up? How do I balance? Can't have 2 empty cups. I need one of them full. That's Libra. I will say, I don't know if I mentioned it, Jupiter is still at that 15 degrees of Cancer. That is the most. Jupiter in Cancer already is exalted. Okay? That's the most, how do I say this? The most lucky, the most blessed, that's the best degree for Jupiter to be in. The best degree. That's the most exalted of the exalted degree that you could get. Okay? Or position, I should say. So that's still there. So the fact that this moon is making a square over to that, it's like, do you trust in higher forces? Do you trust in your higher self? Do you trust in the universe? Do you trust in God? Do you trust in the bigger plan, the bigger picture? Do you trust? Do you trust? If you have to do something different, then do it. Don't be afraid to do it. That's pretty much what that says. That's like, oh, that 3 of Swords is back. See, it came out anyway. That's like, this right here is like, okay. When are you going to accept that success and abundance and happiness and joy are your birthright? That you deserve it? I was talking about luck. I just realized I was talking about this 15 degrees of Cancer for Jupiter. Yeah, look at lucky. When are you going to accept? It's like those situations where it's like, sure, the car broke down, you lost your job, you're late on your rent, but you got no food in the house. I still know something's going to work out. Deeply, truly, I know that something's going to work out. Maybe you do get kicked out of that apartment, but then you figure out that you have a friend who needs someone to watch their house, right? And then you go stay there and you do such a good job for 2 months that they're like, hey, I have this other friend. And you realize, oh my God, I actually kind of like to move around. I actually like to do this. And then that changes into a job that you like to do. Do you get what I'm saying? And you're happy doing it. And you're like, wow, good thing I lost that job and lost that house or the apartment, whatever. I know it's crazy. I know it is. That's what these aspects are saying. Look, I know it's crazy, but hear me out. That's Libra, right? I know this sounds weird. I know this sounds like I'm trying to go against you. I know that this sounds like it's not going to work out, but hear me out. That's very Libra. Hear me out. Let's work through this. Let's try different things. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this helped. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to book a personal reading with me, the website is in the description box below. Otherwise, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't. It really does help the channel out. I love you guys. Have a grateful moon, and I'll see you in the next one.